Okay, it's a new week in our class on multimedia design and development, and this week is about audio post-production. And so the last, I guess, 2 weeks, you've been learning about audio pre-production, audio production, now it's audio post-production. And it's, of course, the week that you need to submit your podcast project. And so there's just a final video about how to post a podcast online, and then you'll submit your podcast project by the end of this week. So the video itself about posting a podcast gives you some instructions on, well, there's links to different places you can go. I think Podomatic is probably the most straightforward, and that's, I think, the one that's first hosted in the video that I posted here on how to do that. So you might want to look into that as a possible place for you to post your podcast. If you're going to get serious about podcasting more, there are other tools, of course, out there, and even these tools are kind of free for a little bit, but then you have to pay for more content or more storage space online, and so that's something to be considerate of or aware of. If you do want to get more serious about doing a podcast, though, you can actually post things. There's some technical abilities that you need, but you can actually post things onto the Internet Archive, which is archive.org, and then link to them through a blog, and that can be completely free, so that has no cost associated with it. But it does require some technical skills to get it working and also to get it registered on a podcast site so that it shows up somewhere. So I'm just presenting these more easy tools to you. So that's what to do this week. The podcast project calls for a few things that I wanted to remind you of, though. So let's take a look at those. So remember, for graduate students, your podcast should be, each episode must be between 3 to 10 minutes in length. For graduate, you develop 2 episodes that fit your podcast theme. And for undergraduate students, you just develop a single episode that fits the theme that you've chosen of 3 to 10 minutes. So it tells you, make sure the volume level is not too high or too low. Sound effects should be added to the episode that fit within the theme of the podcast. So don't forget to add some kind of sound effects in. That's for both graduate and undergraduate students. And then editing out mistakes in your podcast before posting them, such as things like a cough or where you had to stop and sneeze or something like that in your recording. Try to make them a professional production. That doesn't mean that they can't be somewhat informal. Sometimes the best ones are informal, but just to make the audio quality professional and good. Let's see, as far as the requirements in the rubric, I wanted to talk about too. Oh yeah, to hand in the assignment, you will post both episodes online, or if it's just one episode, you'd post that online using a podcasting site. For undergraduate students, it's 1. For graduate students, it's 2 episodes. And then you upload a Word document. So submit to me in the D2L Dropbox a Word document containing a link to the online podcast episode/episodes. So share it to me in that way. That way I can just go right online and listen to those. So, okay, so what it's looking for in the rubric is that both podcast episodes, again, remember, if you're undergraduate, though, it's just 1 episode. Fits the required time length, features good recording, good sound balance, good engaging voice, and good structure and episode-to-episode consistency. And a signature music or sound clip, and that's the clip that starts it out, probably. Most podcasts start out with some kind of signature sound or music clip, and maybe even end with that same clip. Sound effects. So in addition to the sound or music clip, there's also some kind of sound effect or something you've added in to make it a little bit more interesting and free of excessive mistakes. So the one thing I wanted to focus on was this idea of sound balance for this week. And if I go to Audacity here, I've got a recording here where my voice is down here introducing a musical selection. So I thought about Molly's work that she's planning on doing for this introduction, where she's planning on featuring some music clips maybe in her podcast and talking about the different musical clips in a humorous and interesting way. Of course, I didn't do that with this, but I introduce a music clip here and then I play it here. And if you look at these audio clips here, you can see that the music itself is much richer. It it is much louder in volume than my voice here. And so that's what I'm talking about with sound balance, is that I don't want that to be the case. I want the music to be about the same volume as my voice. Unless, of course, the music is a background, it's a background music, then of course I would make that a much quieter as it went over my voice. But in this case, I'm just introducing the music, then I shut my mouth and the music plays. So I want to make sure I have good sound balance here. If my voice is on this track, I can increase the sound using this track gain thing right here and make my voice much louder so that it can be heard at the same level as the sound itself. And I'd have to listen to it and kind of see where these bars go up and down up here as I play it. So let me go ahead and play it real quick if it will. Oh, gotta go back to the beginning here. Alright, let's have a play here. So I can see that I'm clipping a little bit since this went into red. So I need to turn it down maybe a little bit. I have it on 13, maybe 9 or something like that. So again, I'm going to play that.
Well, it's an important day in our discussion of classical music today.
So anyway, as I'm recording or as I'm listening, I'm watching these left and right audio items and trying to see if basically my voice has the same height in general as those. Now they're not always going to be the same because they move up and down quite quickly, but overall is the average height about the same for those two objects or for those two items there, left and right. And if they are, then that's good sound balance, but if they're not, let's say my voice is way too quiet, and then the sound from the music clip is much louder than that, then that's not good sound balance. That's what it's talking about in the rubric about sound balance. And it could go the other way too. Maybe your voice is very loud and your music clip or sound effect that you're using is very quiet. That's not usually the case, but it can be that way. So again, you might want to go to the music clip and turn that down, or turn that up, I mean, and maybe your voice needs to be turned down a little bit. But just make sure that before you do any of this, as you record, that your voice is not clipping, and meaning that these lines are going too far out, and that these are going into the red all the time as you record, because you don't want to have a clipped audio clip as well. So that's just a little final, I guess, point or tip as you prepare for this podcast project, trying to get that good sound balance in your podcast episodes. So I think that's about it, though. If you have any questions, let me know, and or need any help getting this project finished up. But go ahead and make plans, if you haven't already, make plans for recording this podcast and getting it put online for in preparation for Saturday night's due date. Okay, have a good week and good luck on this project.